As we mark Jewish Heritage Month on CBSN, we acknowledge anti-Semitism is a growing problem in the United States. One of the places it's most prevalent is online. According to the Anti-Defamation League, the number of anti-Semitic incidents reported online surged by 71% during the 11-day conflict between Israel and Hamas. In the weeks following the violence in the Middle East, anti-Semitic incidents reported to the ADL increased by 75%. This spread of hate online and in person is prompting new concerns in Washington. The Biden administration is meeting with leaders of several Jewish advocacy groups for a second time this week. Advocates are asking the White House to ramp up efforts to help protect the Jewish community in response to the spike in hate crimes. Joining me now for more on this is CBSN technology reporter Dan Patterson. Hi, Dan. Great to see you. So Facebook and Twitter, as you know, both issued widespread crackdowns on hate speech following the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol. So where is this latest influx of anti-Semitic extremist content gaining the most traction online?
Hi, Tanya. It's good to see you. So after the deplatforming of conspiracies and often racist anti-Semitic accounts by mainstream social networks like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube in January, it took some of these conspiracy accounts a little bit of time to reconstitute. Many of them went to the dark web. Others went to places like the Donald, which is Reddit ripoff for Donald Trump fanboys, and others went to sites like Telegram. Why? Because Telegram, which is a messaging app, allows users to do many of the same functions that you would on a mainstream social network, namely create groups and broadcast information to groups. Telegram also has a lax content moderation policy. We reached out to them a number of times preparing this segment and heard nothing back from them. So a lot of these conspiracies and the influencers of these conspiracies, many of those influencers push anti-Semitic conspiracies, reconstituted on Telegram and are starting to build a lot of the same clout that they had on traditional social networks.
And so give us a sense of the type of engagement, the volume these messages are receiving, and how have these conspiracies shifted over the course of the year?
Yeah, so it's no doubt, Tanya, that Telegram is smaller. There's still tens of millions of active users, but it is smaller than Facebook or Twitter. So a lot of these accounts took more time to acquire fewer followers. I'll give you an example. The Stop the Steal groups that spread the big lie about the election being stolen, which was false. Back in the fall, it took them a mere days to reach millions of followers. On Telegram, it's taken some of these influencers weeks, if not months, to reach hundreds of thousands of accounts. But let's not underestimate these hundreds of thousands of accounts. In these channels, there is hyper engagement, rapid engagement, and where a lot of these accounts had to kind of tiptoe around and dog whistle to anti-Semitic tropes, on Telegram, they are just flagrantly, blatantly anti-Semitic, using neo-Nazi language, as well as other hate speech. So it is a huge difference being able to broadcast directly to hundreds of thousands of actively engaged followers.
Now, what role, if any, is QAnon playing in perpetuating these messages? Is QAnon still around? How is that conspiracy group doing these days?
Well, QAnon, Tanya, is evolving, and it plays kind of a dual role, both as an amplifier of and a market for anti-Semitic conspiracies and other forms of hate speech. The larger QAnon accounts, and QAnon is, although it fractured and there was some bickering inside of QAnon, the influencers still have a lot of power, so they can amplify some of the most hateful rhetoric rhetoric and hateful language. At the same time, many of these, and although we are aware of and tracking these accounts, we won't share their names here in CBSN, but a number of these influencers do market to. They use QAnon and flat Earth conspiracies, the anti-vax conspiracies, and others as a market to insinuate some of this very hateful language.
Wow. So what is being done, Dan, to track down and eliminate this type of behavior on social media?
Well, again, a lot of mainstream social networks have policies against a lot of this hateful and violent language and behavior. There are, of course, researchers, there are disinformation experts, academics, journalists, and all forms of experts studying these accounts and this activity. However, once again, when I reached out to Telegram several times, I heard nothing back from them. And the same thing when many of these conspiracies were really propagating on mainstream social media, it took a long time for Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and others to acknowledge and respond to this problem. So what's being done about this, Tanya? It doesn't seem like a whole lot.
Well, Dan Patterson, thank you so much. As always, we appreciate your insight.
Good to see you.